Hey guys, Chris Andersen here, back video. We're doing the Bant Company mirror for Cardhoarder. We've got Devin Captain on the other side, and we are going to learn how the mirror works. So it looks like I won the die roll, which is really important. It's kind of nice, especially for game one. Being on the play is a pretty nice benefit. This hand is a little risky. Having only 2 lands could make it so that I just lose the game if I miss my land drops. So I think I'm going to keep it because Sylvan Advocate's such a strong turn 2 play, and if I do hit just 1 more land, then I'll be able to deploy threats for the next several turns. But it may be correct that this hand is just not good enough to keep, at least in the mirror match. Start things out with the tap land, Evolving Wilds. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get up Plains. All right, no lands yet. If I hit lands off the top, though, this hand is going to be fantastic. All right, that'll do. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than a 3-drop or greater. Yep, he's hitting his stuff on time, which is pretty good for him. I get an island, so I've got all my colors. Dahlia comes down. That's most likely getting reflected. Okay. Yep, missed my land drop, which is kind of lame, but at least I get to play my stuff. And I get to keep up pressure. That's Tireless Tracker, okay. And a land drop. So he gets his clue, which is good for him. And also him hitting his 4th land drop is good for him too. So he's going to get to start doing 2 things in 1 turn before I will, which is not good for us. The Jamoka's command is pretty decent here. I think I'm going to just go ahead and set up so that I can Spell Queller whatever it is that he does next, though. Because Selfless Spirit is a very good way of dealing with Jamoka's command. So if he sacrifices a Selfless Spirit here, though, which he didn't, okay. If he was going to, I could just blow him out with the Jamoka's command. But as it is, I'm just going to go ahead and Spell Queller his next play. And hopefully I'll hit something kind of come into play on tapped land, whatever that might be. If he makes no play here, I'm still playing the Spell Queller. I need to do something with my mana. And if he taps out to play his Spell Queller, or even casts Collected Company in response, Spell Quelling my Spell Queller, then I have access to a Jamoka's command on my turn to get it back. Okay, that's pretty good. But overall, I'm happy with what happened there. We still don't have it. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and bounce that Sylvan Advocate before it becomes a 4/5. And keep pressure up. Right now, since I'm not hitting my land drops and Devin is, I really need to be as aggressive as possible and hope to just put him out of the game. But that's not a good plan. This isn't a good place where you want to be. He's got us by the ropes right now. We have to get pretty lucky and draw our next land really quickly so that we can start casting these Collected Companies as soon as possible. Our Jamoka's Command's not doing anything really because Selfless Spirit. Okay, that's fine. All right, that's reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to attack with Spell Queller for now. If he decides to play Spell Queller of his own, then that'll give me a reasonably good spot in order to, okay, counter fight. That's pretty good. So, let's see. So what's the best way to handle this right now? I can cast a Jamoka's Command of my own in response. If I do that, basically what's going to happen is he will be losing his Selfless Spirit to make his creature go indestructible, whatever it ends up being. I can't just make my guy bigger. His counter's going on Thalia, so it's a 4/3. So basically, I would lose my Jamoka's Command and my Spell Queller, and he will lose his Selfless Spirit and his Jamoka's Command. So we can do a 2-for-2 trade, or I can put Tireless Tracker on the board and crack a clue and leave my Jamoka's Command for another day. I think I like that. He gets to keep his Selfless Spirit. We'll go ahead and put that tracker into play. That'll come in tapped. And so will he have a My Coast? Did I get my clue? And things are going to looking a little dicey here. Thalia is really big and really first strikey. I could really use a Selfless Spirit. A Reflector? Okay, that's really good. There goes my Tireless Tracker. Now I won't be able to play either tracker. And here I'm going to lose 6, I think. Not much I can do about it. And this is how powerful having 6 lands is versus only having 4, or 3 for a while, actually. Missing your land drops is the #1 way to lose games. So looking back, I think keeping that 2-lander might have been the long call, even though if we just hit 1 land, we're in good shape. It is certainly risky. I don't think I can afford to let Thalia get through for 4. Anissa is good, but if he has a Spell Queller, I believe I'm just dead, no matter what. Let's go ahead and cast the Nissa. It'll give me access to a green source, and I'll be able to cast both Nissa and Jamoka's Command in the same turn. So I'll go ahead and play that Forest. And this will allow me to get rid of that Selfless Spirit. And I will at least be able to leave my Reflector up for blocker. And he has the Spell Queller, so I'm just dead. Okay. So pre-board games are actually a little bit frustrating because there's going to be a lot of games such as that where you end up getting tempoed out. they are much more quickly paced than post-board games. And sometimes you just don't draw the right mix of cards and you get beat. Meta problems arise a lot more frequently in game ones, I feel. Because if you don't have a hand where you are at least maintaining pace, then you'll often just get left behind in the dust. Reflector Mage and Thalia will run you out of the gym. There's nothing you can really do. However, sideboard games are a lot more slower in nature, and I definitely enjoy playing the sideboard games a lot more. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be putting in these 8 cards: Tamiyo, Negates, Tireless Tracker, and Nissa, and 3 Tragic Arrogance. What I'm going to be taking out are the 4 Collected Companies, a couple of Spell Quillers, and the Thalias. So something that the team and I noticed, Devin was the one who figured it out first, is that when we're boarding all of these cards in, Tragic Arrogance, Tamiyo, Negate, sometimes even Ojutai's Command, these are all cards that Collected Company doesn't hit. So if I've got 6 more cards that I have to put in my deck, and I'm taking out 4 creatures that cost 3 or less, and if I have my Collected Companies in, I'd have to take even more creatures that cost 3 or less out, then our Collected Companies are going to get kind of awful. So the only way to get these cards into our deck is to cut Collected Company. And now our deck isn't going to be so much about casting Collected Company and tempoing someone out of the game, as it is going to be built around Tragic Arrogance. Tragic Arrogance is a really, really good way of setting the board to parity. It creates blowouts in areas with your Avacyn, able to flip it. And it allows you to kind of sandbag your resources and set up a blowout situation where you're going to be winning a game that ends up taking about 15 to 20 turns instead of one that takes anywhere from 6 to 8 turns. Negate is there basically to counter the most effective cards in the matchup. Tragic Arrogance, sometimes Tamiyo, Collected Company. If they're still playing Collected Company, it's still really powerful. And Drogo's Command, which also is a pretty big blowout type of card. So I'm going to submit that. The other 3 cards that we're bringing in are just really, really good in the mirror, where you're trying to grind out small edges. That would be the Tamiyo, the 4th Tracker, and the 2nd Nissa. Nissa specifically is fantastic in the mirror. It allows you to hit all of your land drops, and it creates a really powerful source of card advantage once you get into this mid to late game when you flip her into a Planeswalker. So being on the play is still very important. Now this hand has a lot of mana, which is good, but it doesn't have any actual cards, which turns this Drogo's Commands into much less effective removal spells. You need creatures in order to make them work. So I'm going to have to mulligan this hand. Wow. Even more Drogo's Commands. I'm going to give this hand a try. Once again, it's very likely that it's not going to work very well. But I think it's going to be better than a random 5. Drogo's Command is good in the mirror, and I get a scry. Nissa. Normally Nissa would be great here, but I really need that land. So I'm going to put it on the bottom. And I'm going to hope and pray to draw a forest. Hey, there it is, forest. Okay, so no turn 2 play, which is unfortunate, but we're going to be able to get Tracker out, and as long as it doesn't get Reflector Maged, I think we're going to be in okay shape. Selfless Spirit, that's decent. And a Reflector Mage, that's actually even better. So allow us to make sure that we don't get Drogo's Command on our turn. And our own Drogo's Command is going to be able to deal with whatever card that's in the play next. This is going to be an atypical type of game. Certainly a bit strange. hopefully I do draw a land next turn, a white source, ideally. This will allow me to Selfless Spirit. Okay, his own Reflector Mage, that's quite good. Getting my creature off the board is pretty important, even if it is a Reflector Mage on a Reflector Mage. So let's see what I get next. Query Stream, that's pretty good. I think I'm going to go ahead and put Tireless Tracker in play. Selfless Spirit is nice, and it allows me to hold up Dromoka's Command mana, but I won't be able to really kill anything with Selfless Spirit and have the Selfless Spirit live itself, because it would only have 2 toughness even with the Dromoka's Command counter, and that's just not good enough. I'd rather get that clean. Second Reflector Mage, okay, that's pretty good. So another land, that's excellent. So now, I think that the line is going to be, don't love reflecting his reflector. That might be what has to happen in order for us to maintain tempo. So the question here is, would we want to cast Dromoka's Command to kill his other reflector? And I don't think that we do. Reflector Mage gets outclassed pretty quickly in the mirror. There are a lot of other creatures that are just a lot better than it is. So it's possible that we should have just cast the Selfless Spirit and been on our way. But I'm going to go ahead and leave mana up for Dromoka's Command on Tireless Tracker. There we go. Okay, so Evolving Wilds is actually kind of rough, because it means that he can crack his Evolving Wilds again to get a second clue. Hopefully, I was hoping it would be any other land so that I could just cast the Dromoka's Command in response to the trigger, so his Tireless Tracker would die. Fortunately, the best I can do here is a trade with my Dromoka's Command for his tracker, and then that causes a tap. So, but I don't really like that very much. So I'm going to hope that he just plays a creature. Excellent. And I can get that tracker off the board. Having access to Tireless Tracker, having one active, basically, and attacking is a really good way to end the game. It's probably the best creature that you can possibly keep, other than Avacyn. It's the best creature that you can keep behind when Tragic Arrogance comes online. And now I have the biggest creature on the board again, which is great. Okay, so I think I'm going to cast... Got a couple of options here. So remember, he has a Reflector in his hand right now. So I don't want to put anything too important into play. I could cast Duskwatch Recruiter. And then have enough mana for the activation. I could cast Selfless Spirit and Duskwatch Recruiter. I think I like that, actually. So first I'm going to attack. Keep the pressure going. And then let's get some creatures into play. All right, so Devon's got 6 mana. A third Tireless Tracker, that's really good. Luckily, we have a third Jamoke's Command. He'll probably be casting his Reflector again here. Possibly just activating clues. A Tameo, that's really good. So he'll get to lock down our creatures. Or just set it up so that he can draw a bunch of cards. So I think I'm going to let this guy through. He's going to draw a lot of cards here, which is really rough for us, but at least we have a way of both killing his Tireless Tracker and killing his Tameo next turn. All right, our turn. A negate, that's really good. So what I want to do is I want to put a counter on Duskwatch Recruiter, and I'm going to have Reflector Mage fight his Tireless Tracker. Now that gives us 2 3-power ground creatures. Ah, yes, of course, indestructible. Forgot about that. Okay, so now I can't attack through Tameo. The only way to do that is by giving him a card to draw, which is not the best. But at least he doesn't have a flyer now. I think my only really good option here is passing the turn. It lets me hold up a gate mana in case he tries anything. And even if he doesn't play anything, I have access to a Recruiter activation or even just a clue. Yep, and here comes Tireless Tracker. Luckily, he won't really be able to attack yet because I do have Selfless Spirit in order to hold the fort down. A Tragic Arrogance. Yep, that's really good. Luckily, we do have negate for it. Okay. He gets another clue, which is great for him. Right now, drawing a Tameo of our own would probably be the best thing that we could get. Yep, he's still taking up his Tameo. I'm probably just going to pass the turn. Yep, that's the way it looks. I'm a little surprised he didn't actually target my Selfless Spirit with his Tameo. It's still an Advocate. That's a good draw. Let's go ahead and cast Tireless Tracker. Oh, I actually need green mana to do that. Then I'll just attack him with my Selfless Spirit. Or attack his Tameo with my Selfless Spirit, rather. Doesn't get the card draw, which is pretty nice. And I'll pass the turn back to him. And right now, I'm just hoping he doesn't play another Tragic Arrogance. We've got another clue. Okay. And then Nissa. All right, that's pretty scary. Having access to a second Planeswalker and a pretty good way to hold the fort down is not looking good for us. There's lots of ways of drawing cards with clues. Basically, he's gotten everything that he needs. He's hitting all his land drops. He's getting lots of planeswalkers. This is really Tamiyo showing why it can take over games in the mirror match. Go ahead and put my picture down here so that you can see all of his wonderful clues. Once again, getting access to a Tamiyo here, as long as he doesn't negate it, would be really, really powerful. And it looks like he's going to continue to plus his Tamiyo. And he correctly put the plus on the Selfless Spirit this time. A Reflector. Okay. That'll probably target our Tireless Tracker. A Dustbox Recruiter. Okay, that's fine. No attacks. I'll go ahead and sacrifice this clue. Hopefully, it'll give us something good, because we really need it right now. We're very far behind. A Spell Queller? Spell Queller is okay, but I think we need something a little better than that. At least a land. Can't even really attack. Let's keep this up. I'll put Sylvan Advocate into play, and I suppose I'm just going to have to pass the turn. There's really nothing I can do. I could give him another card with the Tamiyo counter, but I really don't want to. Or by attacking him with the Selfless Spirit. Things are looking pretty bleak. And we got another Reflector Mage. Okay, that's not good. And this is also showcasing how Tireless Tracker can just run away with the game. You just get tons of clues, you're drawing extra cards, you get more spells, you get more lands, which give you more clues. The only thing that can catch us back up is going to be Tragic Arrogance, which is why it's so important in this matchup. The amount of power that it can do in this game here, it'll allow me to keep my Tireless Tracker. He'll be left with nothing but a Reflector Mage. Loses Tamiyo. He'll lose 3 of his 4 clues. And he'll probably lose his last creature in Reflector Mage too, because my Tireless Tracker will be in play and will attack his Nifta. He has to chump block with his Reflector Mage. Now it looks like he might be going all in with Tireless Tracker. He targeted, once again, he did not target Selfless Spirit. I guess Reflector Mage is probably going to target Selfless Spirit here. And that's going to be as good as any spell to Spell Queller, I think. One of the reasons I'm only playing 2 Spell Quellers instead of the full 4 post sideboard is because of Tragic Arrogance, both my Tragic Arrogances and his. It's not particularly a card that I want to keep. I'd much rather keep something like Tireless Tracker or a big Sylvan Advocate. But oftentimes I'll be forced to if I've had something like, for example, this Reflector Mage underneath it. Remote his command. He's going to be fighting my Selfless Spirit. I will go ahead and sacrifice it in response. And no attacks, of course. All right, our turn. Let's draw something good. Anissa? Anissa is okay. That'll allow us to get a hold of a 6th land, which makes our Sylvan Advocates big enough to do some rumbling. Well, I can't attack with the Sylvan Advocate. I suppose I could attack with Tireless Tracker, but I'd only end up trading it for his Reflector Mage, because he can double block. I believe Spell Queller is really the only creature that I can attack at this point. So let's go ahead and get in there with Spell Queller. I need to attack Tamio here. If he ultimates either of these Planeswalkers, I'm pretty sure I lose the game on the spot. Sacrifice a clue? Sure. And I'm going to go ahead and hold back on my resources, because in order for me to win this game, I'm going to need to cast Tragic Arrogance. First, that'll allow me to get a 7th land so that I can flip my Nissa quicker by activating this clue on my turn. It'll allow me to hold up mana so that he might think I have a Spell Queller. And it'll let me dig into my Tragic Arrogance a little bit quicker. Twice as quickly, actually. That is Reflector Mage number 3. That's not good. Maybe he'll bounce my Nissa. He'll probably bounce my Spell Queller. Actually, did I say 3? I meant 4. So let's see. It's plussing again. There's another land. And here come the attacks, most likely. Yep, here they come. I think I'm just going to have to take that huge hit from Tireless Tracker. It'll be 11 damage at the most, which is really, really good, but I don't think that my board can afford to. I don't think I can afford to lose my board. Maybe I have to afford to lose my board. I don't think I have much of a choice. I think Negate is going to probably kill me in this game, but I need to do what I need to do. I'm going to go ahead and activate my clue so that it'll be big enough for Reflector Mage. And it looks like, it'll be doing the same. Probably to dig for Jamoka's Command. And a Jamoka's Command will probably just put me out of the match. Lumbering Falls, that's not going to do it. Though it will give me a 7 mana. So it's going to draw some cards. And play a Duskwatcher here. That's something I'm okay with. As long as he doesn't have Negate, I'm still playing to the out of okay. So I'm going to play the untapped land. Playing to the outer Tragic Arrogance, right? So I lost my train of thought for a second. Drew my card. So yeah, let's go ahead and get a clue. This will give me 1 extra card because it's 2 mana plus whatever this is doing here. Flip my Nissa, hopefully Tragic Arrogance. Still no Tragic Arrogance. Sack this clue. Tragic Arrogance. Still no Tragic Arrogance. Well, that's going to be the game. He's just got too much stuff. He'll be able to tap my creatures down and pretty much put me out of my misery with Tireless Tracker. All right, good game, Steven.